No, but he had a good game. But he had a bad. Just explain yourself, please. Like
I think Gusto had a good match because one, he had to play on the left back, inverting into the midfield, and I think for him to do that, which is a side that he's not comfortable with, he did lose the ball a few times here, but he managed to recover. Not really much issues coming from that side either. He was involved with the play. He was involved in the midfield. He was doing his thing with Reece James there. I think he was. Maybe great was over exaggerating, but I thought he was pretty solid. I think it was good overall. Like I can't really say much or complain much about Malo Gusto. Maybe he didn't give you much of the attacking output, but at the end of the day, when it comes to Malo, like this season specifically, bro, just keep it simple, stick to the defending, and we're good. You know, stick to the defending, we're good. Don't be a liability. And when you have Malo Gusto fulfilling so many roles in a game, I understand why Maresca wants him to be on the pitch. Like he likes those Swiss Army knife players. And I'm not saying Acheampong isn't that. I do think Malo Gusto does fulfill a lot of roles for Maresca that we're starting to see Acheampong, and maybe Maresca's trying to see that Acheampong can actually provide that as well. I just don't know if he has a confidence that Acheampong can do it game in, game out. Not that Malo Gusto's been that great, but this, to me, this game in isolation shows me, okay, Malo Gusto has the capability to put in a shift. He isn't gone completely like I thought earlier on onset in the season. So I think he had a solid performance today, man. I don't think he gave us much of an issue, or there was much of a problem. Maybe not top 4, but at least the 5th for me. I think he was solid.
I don't think Gusto did like anything like top tier. Like
but I think Gusto had a little bit of like they were trying to run at him. They were trying to run at him in the first half initially, but other than that, I think he did a solid job. He did what he needed to do. Again, he's a good confidence booster for Gusto from a Gusto perspective in my eyes, right? But I think for me, the thing about Gusto is gonna be when you bring him back onto the right wing and you then try to do the thing of him inverting again and then doing that other stuff. That's where I think the problem lies, bro. Just tell him to be a proper fullback, up and down, keep it simple, and I think
he'll do a good job for you. He had 61 out of 66 passes, Curry.
He also lost the, he lost the ball to join most of, he lost the ball to join most of any player Chelsea player, by the way.
Most of our passes like 5 yards.
Yeah, but he also recovered he also covered the most too, Scott. So
no,
I'm
he did recover. So what you're telling me, and of course you would rate this, Ahmed. He did a Gallagher then. He was about as effective as Gallagher.
So you see this, yeah? Why are you hitting on a common player? Common players won for us today, so I'm here to celebrate.
I felt like take a shot.
I felt like
I'm here to celebrate Cobham today. So are you not here to celebrate Cobham? That's what I thought. See,
yeah, like, for me with the Gusto thing, like I said, he lost the ball the most times of any Chelsea player, the joint most long with Palmer. Like, passing was okay. He still offers literally nothing going forward. His crossing still sucks. There were a couple of crosses he did that were awful. Like, they just suck. Like, he's just there. That's literally all he's been most of the season, has been poor or just there. And I compare it to the guy on the opposite side to him, who was excellent today, whether it was inverting into midfield, the what is it, like 10-15 minutes he played in midfield, very good. Playing in the back defensively, very good. Was comfortable on the ball, able to use his physicality, and I understand Gusto can't because he's not as tall as him or big as him, pause. But when I'm seeing Acheampong do that, I expect more from Gusto. You were fine, at best. He was fine. But we played friggin' Warsaw, who were crap in that second half. I just expect better. And this has been Gusto the whole season. It's like I said earlier, if he's going to continue having these met performances, and Josh is going to continue having good performances, then there may come a point where he overtakes him.
See, like, I'm looking at the stats, and their stats are so identical.
But my problem is Marshall. My problem is
I guess I get where Scott's coming from, where, like, I have certain standards for Malo and certain standards for Josh, and obviously Malo should clearly be the better player every time. But if I'm talking about they have similar stats, then that looks bad on Malo. So I'll give you that.
No, it's not, because I think the problem for me is that Malo is playing out of position today. He legit was playing.
That is also true. That's a good point.
Isn't Acheampong the centre back? Acheampong a centre back?
No,
He's a
Acheampong
right-sided
is a right-
centre back.
He's a
I thought
right
he's
back.
Played right back today. He can play centre back and right back.
Yes.
I thought he's
He played right-
normally centre back. Okay.
He's a dual position player. The dual position player.
Yeah, in the
Yeah,
first team,
both
he's
sides.
mostly been a centre back, but he's played both in the academy.
Yeah. You know,
I'll be right back.
you know what I mean? I just think for me, my big problem, and I'll repeat this again, yeah, is that but the way we talk about Gusto is that we are also not talking about the way the manager, in my personal opinion, has been using him. That's the problem, bro.
Yeah, you
The
got
way he gets
7.9
used by the
anyway,
manager does not help him,
No,
bro.
I'm not doing it.
No,
But he
you
gets
can't do
used
that, bro.
stuff anymore.
No, it's true though, bro. Like let's keep it real.
No, it's
the
not
way
true.
he's used by the manager is not how.
It's
you
not
can see
always
it's not
that though.
working.
It's not.
No.
like,
It's
I'm
not
not
just-
saying
no,
that.
it's not
No. I agree that it's not just that, but I also think a big part. I think it plays a big part though. The way the manager has been using this though, in terms of not like left back, but when he plays as a right back, he's inverting. He's doing this thing about also was it called playing in the midfield? A lot of this stuff, bro, was not something that this guy was known for doing, bro. He doesn't have any previous to this, so I think for me. You know what I mean? I think for me, and my personal opinion, it's just shout out Will, by the way. But like, it's just for me, it's just like I think we've been a little bit unfair to him. We can criticize his performances this season in general in terms of the way he's been playing himself too, right? But I think two things can be.
We're talking about the game in isolation, Curry. Let's not do this, man.
But I think we can. I think two
We
things
know,
can be true.
you know, I agree with you. He's been shit all season.
No, but I agree with Curry. But I think Curry is not understand what I'm saying. I think a large part of what's happened with Gusto is the way he's been played and his positioning, right?
I don't think it's
by
that.
the manager. And then I think there's a secondary thing, obviously, which is also I feel like the player himself. I don't think he's been up to standard himself, right? That's what I'd also argue too, right? Where he's not met the minimum expected from him, and I don't feel like that too as well. So I think that's a secondary thing too. But I think both of them together have played a part.
Ahmed, can I ask you a question?
Mhm.
Can you explain to me why Gusto has this same thing that Mudryk does, where he doesn't work on things in training?
What do you mean by that, though? Well, I guess that's the question.
This guy's crossing has been shit for 2 years now.
I think that's fair.
I don't know about
no,
2 years. That's a little exaggeration.
No, his crossing has sucked the
Well, I
entire
think-
time it's been here.
No,
The entire time. It was
No,
okay at
Scott's
best
right
last
on that
season.
First season
It
was
okay
okay.
at best.
But I
Anything
think-
he did low.
No, Chris,
anything
his
he
best
did low
attribute
on the
last season
ground-
was 1v1 defending.
Yeah.
No, I didn't say
Yeah,
which is best.
like,
I thought his
Most
crossing was
of
okay.
most of the good crosses he did last season were low crosses. Anytime he tries to put a cross in the air, it's shit. Why haven't
Look,
you worked on
you're-
that? Because it's the exact same this year. We're getting to nearly 2 seasons where you have not worked on your crossing.
What were we
If
talking
you'd worked
about,
on it, it would
sorry?
be better.
Talking about
Early
Gusto is.
Then, yeah.
What about Gusto?
Yeah, I just need to understand why this guy doesn't want
Just
to work
listen
on
to
his
the
crossing.
conversation. You'll pick up on it.
We
Top 5 player.
we cooked, and rightfully so. We cooked Mudryk for doing this, for not working on things in training, because it was evident he didn't work on them, because it was the same when he got to games. I'm not going to cook Gusto for doing the same thing, because that's only
what-
fair.
What are we saying sell Gusto, or are we just cooking him for the game?
No, I'm just
No.
saying like he
We're
wasn't
just talking
good.
about the game.
No.
Basically.
Oh,
Not just these top 3 players.
Listen,
Yeah.
everyone
But
knows
like-
I'm a massive fan of Gusto. Like, I wanted him at Chelsea.
You did, yeah.
I'm a big defender of him. I just think he's having a bit of a poor season. I think there's context of being like played in this inverted role. However, we're now in April. Like, you should have picked up on something by now. I think next season
Mhm.
is sink or swim. If you're not able to pick up on this by next season, then you've got to go in the summer or next summer.
And I think Prime, it's not
I
even
rate him,
just
I must say, he's quality. If you don't fit what we're actually trying to do, there's no point in keeping you.
That's what I'm saying.
Mhm.
For me,
I know.
I agree. This is before you go, Scott. Yeah, this is my big thing, bro. I don't think he even suits what we're doing right now. That's been my fundamental thing,
I think
regardless
he's
of
improved on it.
the problem is
He
Marshall,
has improved on it, but that
He's
improvement
not
is still
reached
not
the level.
good enough.
He's not reached the level that we need him to. Like,
No.
is he
I'm,
like
not even on it. I'm not saying be Reese level, by the way. Reese and Kukurea are 2 world-class fullbacks. I'm not
That's what I'm
saying
saying. But yeah, I know what you mean.
Like,
Or even
like-
Caicedo level.
you're not. We're talking about fullback, not in
Well,
general. But,
Caicedo
like,
when he inverts. We're talking about the
oh,
inverting.
okay, yeah, that true.
I mean,
But, like,
I'm
I'm talking about like this season. Josh has played better than you. Whether playing as a like makeshift right center back in this back 3, or when Josh played in midfield today. in the second half.
In the minutes that Josh has
example?
played, yes, I'll give you that.
You know-
I
you
think
know
it's a
what?
little bit of an unfair
And
comparison because
Gusto,
one's played a lot more
I think
minutes.
he will improve, and
I agree.
and get better. I'm not saying you need to be world class at doing it, but like you need to be a good enough backup for us.
I need this to be a
because-
7 out of 10. That's
Yes.
what
Yeah.
we need him to be, right?
like,
I need you
that's-
to be a
that's
7 out of 10.
basically
right now,
That's
you're
basically what it was
performing at
last
like
season.
a 4 or 5 at a push.
And I think the thing for me is, yeah, I don't think this is why I look at the manager a little bit here and I'm like, he's not simplified the positioning for him, right? Because I feel like, yeah, it's been way too overcomplicated for him because he's inverting. He's then also doing that little thing where he's almost also being like a box crasher at times, right? If remember that 4-4-2 video that you watched recently, which kind of showed you the amount of stuff that he's doing, right? I don't think he's reached that level of capacity mentally and then both physically to understand every single step of that tactic right now, right? So
I disagree because Gusto's role has been simplified. He's no longer playing as a false 10 or false 8. His game has massively been simplified.
Now it's been, but I'm talking about in general though, like throughout the season, if that makes sense.
But when's the last time he was doing that though?
No, because he did that already like a month ago. It was only a month ago when he was playing similar to the way you're speaking about.
Okay.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you've looked at now, it's particularly I'll probably argue post what's that period that we just had right now? International break, right? You can see he's actually been a lot more simplified on him because he either inverts, stays back, right, or he does the 1v1 defending the vast majority of the time. Because, like, again, all you need to look at again is just the Brentford game, the way he was playing there. That was almost like he was playing like his old self when he was under Poch, if that makes sense. So for me, that's probably what I would probably say more than anything else in that regard. But listen, Acheampong, having a guy like Acheampong, by the way, yeah. You know, I mean, I just watch Acheampong, in my personal opinion. He's a guy for the future, right? He's a guy that I think for me can be our Swiss Army knife. That's who we need him to be right now, right? So I don't know if he can play left back necessarily. I know he played one game in the conference to get left back, which I thought was all right. But realistically for me, I need him to be my right back, centre back, and midfield every now and then cover. That's what I need to be looking at to be used a bit more, in my personal opinion.
The thing with the left back thing, though, you have to blame the directors for that because they got rid of our left back.
The thing is, though,
and their justification for it was because Reece and Gusto can play left back.
Exactly, man. Getting rid of Joel, man. Massive L, man.
The thing is, for me, this goes back to that theory I mentioned some time ago where I feel like football is going more in a direction of, instead of players playing in certain positions, it's about getting a good 11 out there and having them occupy certain spaces versus certain positions. And I think if we take in isolation, right, Malo Gusto as a player versus Acheampong, I think Malo Gusto is a better player, right? But in terms of the performances on the pitch, I think Acheampong has been giving me better performances. Why is that? I think a lot of it has to do with what Ahmed was saying, what Prime was saying, which is the different responsibilities while you are in the game. And I do think that Malo Gusto is talented enough to pick up on that. I think he's a smart enough footballer to be able to adapt and just be able to do a job well. And I think he's being asked to do a lot more in that position than Acheampong is being asked to do. But it's been taking longer than all of us would like. I have noticed a staunch difference in Malo Gusto at this point of the season versus the beginning of the season where he was just horrible and I wanted him dropped relentlessly.
He's still the same.
I don't think he's been the same. I think he's been
the same.
improved. He's been much less of a liability than the beginning of the season.
No, he hasn't. Marshall. We literally watched him be shit 5 days ago. Not 5 days ago.
I don't think he was shit 5 days ago either. I don't think he was shit against Brentford.
He did nothing against Brentford. He was terrible going forward. Again, because he's been terrible going forward. Defensively is what it is. He didn't really get... he still wasn't good.
But that goes back to like what I was saying, right? Like, it's a weird adaptation thing, right? Because you were saying earlier where his crosses aren't great. And obviously, compared to Reece James, his crosses aren't great. But he has some crossing ability. It's not fantastic. It's not anything to cry home about. But the one thing I liked about Malo Gusto is the passing option that he provided last season, overlapping, the work rate, the defensive ability, all that stuff. when you invert him into midfield, then you don't have to rely on the crossing, because that's one thing as a fullback is something you should have in your tool belt is a good cross, right? We all probably agree with that. We've seen our fullbacks do that all the time in the history of Chelsea. With Malo, you can still have the good player where like he can 1-2 link up and find a pass here and there in the midfield. This season, he hasn't been that great, especially in the beginning of the season versus now. Now he's not as much of a liability as he was in the beginning of the season. I disagree with you, Scott. In the beginning of the season, he was giving the ball away constantly. He didn't know where to be. He would find himself in a 10 position all the time, get dispossessed all the time. I wasn't seeing that against Brentford. Against Brentford, I did not see that. And if it did happen against Brentford, it was not as large as it was earlier in the season.
It's still the same thing, bro. Like, the only difference is he's not getting cooked defensively 90 times a game. He still got cooked defensively against Brentford a couple of times by Sharda. We're just lucky that their forward line was shit. Like, he's been terrible this season. He has shown no improvement at all. I also find it ironic, by the way, and someone mentioned this earlier, that Acheampong inverted into midfield. In fact, he didn't even invert. He was just a midfielder for 10, 15 minutes and didn't have a single issue, despite never playing there before. That's because
Acheampong is technically secure, and Acheampong has played in a back three before. With the last international break for England, he was playing, I think, under 21s. Under 21s.
Has he played in midfield before? I'm asking.
No, not in midfield, but he was playing in the middle of a back three.
No, that's fine. I know he can play in a back three. He played in midfield this game after who is it? Reece James went off and Kukurea came on. He went into midfield and looked more comfortable in midfield than Gusto has at any point this season. That's the issue. We can do this positional thing. We can do this tactical thing. We are speaking about Gusto in April, and he has been the same player outside of a couple of nice games here and there. He has been the same player the entire season. And I agree with what Prime said earlier. And this goes back to the point I made about Acheampong. If Acheampong stays in this squad next season and gets real minutes, next season is sink or swim for Gusto. So if he has another shit season, he should be gone.
Like,
he should be gone.
He should be. Like, again, I do think Gusto is like better now than he was earlier in the season, but that's also due to the fact of he was such a massive liability, whereas now I think he's not as much of a liability. However, it's still not good enough. So it doesn't really make it. It's like trash free garbage, I guess. It doesn't really make a difference. But Gusto, I hope he does improve. I still stand by in this system. I think he'd do best playing as one of our wingers. But then again, we talk about his crossing ability, which is also something that's weird, because when he played in was that Lyon, when he was playing in Liga, one of the best things about him was the fact of he could actually cross, but he wasn't that good defensively. But he comes to Chelsea, and now he's good defensively, but he's not good going forward. It's so weird, bro. Like, just spend the summer. Actually, we can't. Club World Cup. Just spend a few weeks with Reece James crossing, bro. Something's got to happen with you, bro. I don't know what. Madueke has improved on his crossing. Why can't you? It's weird.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, yeah, it's definitely... I do feel that part of the problem is Gusto is a slow learner. I disagree with Curry, and I disagree with Scott. I do feel like he's gradually improved since the beginning of the season. He's been nowhere near as bad as he was in the beginning of the season. But I do agree with both of you in the sense that, like, he does need to improve. Like, he needs to be better. And next season, if he's still playing this bad, is he still being a liability to the team? Because I don't disagree with that either. I do think to a degree against Brentford, like against previous games, even though he has improved, he's still been somewhat of a liability. If he's still that liability and we can't confide in him, and we always have this in the back of our head, this feeling that, oh, fuck, any minute now Goose is going to do some stupid shit and he's going to cost us, then yeah, I think Acheampong moves up to promote it to the backup to Reece or whoever you want to put in that right back position. And Malo Gusto, you're going to have to fight for your position. And if you lose that fight, man, you might have to move on to a different club. And and it's harsh, but this is, I keep saying it again. I feel like Chelsea are slowly progressing back to that era of, like, we have so many players in so many positions, the best will make it to the starting 11. And from there, we might have to start saying goodbye to some of our favorites that just aren't better than the ones that took over their position. I'm talking about the Carnies. I'm talking about, I'm not saying anyone's favorite Sterling, but Sterling is in there too.
Reese is so
Oh
talented.
shit! I
or
just
not
noticed
Reese.
someone's in the background. Sorry. There you go,
Gusto
CP.
is so talented as well, bro. That like, I just don't sell him to another Premier League club, man. Because we're gonna sell him, and he's gonna cook. And the same fan base that's on his ass. Pause.
No, that's exactly what's gonna happen.
In a year's time, saying, "Why did we sell Gusto? Look at him, he's world class." Oh, Reece just got an injury and he's out for a few games.
There's a very good player there.
Bro, they did it with Havertz. They did it with Havertz, and in my mind, Gusto was more talented.
For me, just listen. I just think if in a different system where it's just him being a proper fullback, I genuinely believe he will thrive, bro. That's what it just is for me. And like again, players can have down seasons naturally themselves, but for me, at the end of the day, right, I just think for me, maybe with time he gets better of the system, as some of you guys are saying now. But listen, maybe this might be just a natural down year for him as a player. Young guys, they go through highs and lows. Maybe this is his low season, and he comes back bigger, better, stronger for next season.
Yeah, I think it's very possible.
Hopefully.
CP,
I disagree.
I just noticed you were in the background. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. No, I just joined. It's all good, Marshall. I vehemently disagree. He's ass. In the Brentford game, he couldn't even make a 5-yard pass to an open man, and it got intercepted. I remember that pissed me the fuck off when we were trying to go for the win. His shooting is ass. The best attribute he had last season was defending. It's not his crossing. It's not any of that. So if we're gonna lose him, I'm sorry. I'm fine with it. People saying he's a generational talent.
You can't throw away what he did last season.
No, I can if you're just performing your defensive duties. Josh can do that too. If you give me offense with your defense, in terms of getting better with your crossing, not being dog shit with these lofted crosses that fucking go to the other side of the corner flag every fucking game, and I can count on it, I should start making bets, even though I've never done sports betting in my life. That's a sure bet, dude. Malo Gusto making a fucking lofted cross that goes to the other side of the corner flag, and then Jadon Sancho has to try to get it every freaking game. I can bet money on that.
If we had a proper target in the box, I wonder what his
No, we wouldn't. You know why? Because that lofted cross once again goes to the other corner flag. So how the fuck is a striker going to head that shit?
So this summer you'd be okay with selling him?
No, I'm saying next summer if he's a dog shit.
Oh, next summer. Okay, I agree with you.
That's the thing. I'll say he has one good season, one bad season. So I agree. I think
his best attribute is defending. But if Josh is giving me defensively and he's younger, then why aren't I taking that? And he's more versatile in the system. He can play right center back. He's a right back who's good defensively. So it's the same as Gusto. And then he can play more in the midfield. So he's more versatile for me than Malo Gusto is.
I don't disagree.
Right now, Malo Gusto is okay at left back. In his best days, he's okay at left back. In midfield, he's not that good. And as right back, he needs to be an overlapping right back who's crossing his ship, but his defending is good on a good day.
Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with that. I mean, I think that's a reasonable thing to think, just because, if Acheampong is giving me the same attributes, then sorry, Malo, if you can't step up, if you can't adapt to this system, then we got to move on without you.